Okay, so hello, I'm Sovereign. Today we're going to go over incursions in EVE Online. So many of you have probably heard about incursions, but you're not sure what they are. And since EVE Online, or not EVE Online, but YouTube has almost no videos on incursions, I'm going to make just a very brief one just to give you guys a brief overview of what it is and what you can expect to get out of them. So, Incursions 101. Sancha's nation is invading Empire space, and Concord will pay you obscene amounts of money to go in and kill them over and over and over again. And it's great because you make so much money. So each incursion, which you can actually find if you go to your journal, and then under the incursions tab, you can go to global report, and it will list all of the incursions that are happening right now in the game. So you can see on the left we've got Sancha's Nation and we've got these weird ones. Those are drifters. You don't want to go to drifter ones. Drifter ones are awful. They're broken. They'll kill you. It's bad. Don't do drifters. Only do Sancha's. So right now we've got like, what is this, 7. Most of them are in nullsec. You don't want to go to nullsec, you'll die. So most of them are in high sec right now. I'm currently running the one in Eras. You can see him over in Chinoon. So each incursion is in a constellation. It pops up, it lasts for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 days, and then it'll leave, and you'll have to go somewhere else to a new incursion. So each system in the constellation will have different incursion types of sites to run. So if we go to encounters, we can see Sancha Incursion, we have Assaults, HQ, Scout, and Vanguard. So each of the systems in this constellation will have one type of these that you can run. So they start off with Scouts. They are the smallest, only 3 to 5 pilots. I have never flown in a Scout one just because they're so small, and you can see you only make 3.5 million ISK. That's not very much. So no one runs Scouts. Vanguards, I think, are Vanguards are the next highest, 5 to 10. I've only done this when it's like right before downtime, no one's flying, you just get a group of 10 people up real quick, just run some sites because you're bored or whatever. But these pay okay. There's a couple groups that run Vanguards, but for the most part, everyone ignores these. Then the next ones are Assaults. I've never run Assaults just because if you can run Assaults, you might as well just do HQs and get a couple more people. So Assaults are there as well. Some groups do them, I don't. And the last one is the bread and butter, the headquarters, the HQ sites. These are the ones almost everyone runs because you can see they give you 45 million ISK for every single one you do, which turns out being only 31.5, but we'll get to there. Okay, so payout will actually scale, you can see over here in this box, depending on your number of pilots and your high sec or low/null sec. So if you're in low/null, which you probably shouldn't be because you'll die, then you get more money. But almost no one does that. The main thing we do is high sec. So we're all in high sec, you can see 0.5 high sec. And you get a smaller payout than what is actually listed. So it lists 45 million ISK and 10,000 Concord LP. You actually get 31.5 million and 7,000 Concord LP, which is still a lot. If it actually gave you the 45 million, this would be even more broken than it already is. So another thing with the number of pilots, I mentioned this earlier, it's unique in that if you have too few pilots, you don't get money. And if you have too many pilots, you also don't get money. So you can't just get the biggest fleet you can possibly have and just alpha everything in the site and then just get obscene amounts of money because it doesn't work. So for these, you can see forces require 20 to 40 pilots. Usually fleets aim for 40, just because you're going to go twice as fast with 40 as opposed to 20. But you can run most of them with around 30-ish. If you go below 30, it's just way too slow and people end up leaving. So usually it's about 35, 40 is a good fleet size. All right, so next thing, after you complete each site, you're actually going to get this amount of ISK immediately, but you won't get the Concord LP immediately. Instead, it will be stored in a pool. So if I look at my loyalty point log, you can see all of these things that I've already completed in this incursion site. This is the amount of pilots we had, etc., etc. So you can see that this is LPs in pool. So after every site, I get 7,000 LP paid into the pool. And right now I currently have 202,000 LP. And then once the incursion is completed, then you get all that LP. So if you run some incursions and you don't know where your LP is, don't worry. It's there, you just haven't gotten it yet. However, there is the Kundalini Manifest. This is the final site that ends the incursion. This is the one with the mothership, not the mothership, the carrier in it. And if you don't complete this before the Sansha forces retreat, because you've kicked their ass for the last 6 days, then you don't get your LP. But don't worry, this almost never happens. Someone goes in and kills it because we want our LP. That's a lot of money. All right. Also, the Kundalini Manifest is 40 to 80 pilots. You guys have probably already seen this because you're busy reading this shit while I'm talking and trying to figure out what I'm going to say next. But it's 40 to 80. So these are very big fleets, lots of people. You just shove everyone you can into it and just get it over with. And you get double payouts. So that's pretty nice. But most of the times you don't run this very often because it's only once per incursion site. All right. So now that we know what it is, how do you actually run them? So you need to find a group that will actually run them. So if you go into any of your chat windows, click on this little box, open chat window, and go to Incursions Public. I think I messed that one up. Yep, it's Incursion Public, not Incursions. Whoops, I'm an idiot. All right, so we go here, and then it will list all of the different types of communities. So these guys only run vanguards and assaults. They're in EU. These guys run vanguards. These guys, the Tanian fleet, they're the armor guys. They actually fly HQs. And you got all the shield incursions. You got ISN, etc., TVP, WTM. The two biggest ones, at least that I know of, is WTM, Warp to Me, and TVP, the Valhalla project. So I'm mainly going to be focusing on WTM just because those are the guys that I fly with the most. It's not to say that they're the best or the worst or anything. I'm going to keep all the politics of that outside of it. I just personally fly with WTM, and they're the ones that I have the most experience with. So it's going to be kind of skewed towards them, but most of this information is applicable to any group that you join. All right, so once you've found which one you want to fly to, you just click on them. It goes to their channel. Then you're in their channel, and you can get more information there. They all have rookie guides. They all have minimum fleet. They have recommended fits, etc., etc. All right, so once you have an accepted ship and you've got it all good to go, then you just jump in it, go to whatever system they have set as their current focus, you get into fleet, and you start shooting things. And that part will be in a different video, so don't worry if you're confused on that part. I'll have more videos to help you with that part. But for now, before you go out and buy a ship, let's talk about what you actually need to fly. So, at minimum, you're going to need decent battleship skills. You don't need to have all Battleship 5 or even Battleship 4. You just need to be able to sit in a battleship. That's the most important part. You can't bring Drakes, you can't bring battle cruisers, you can't bring cruisers, frigates, none of that. Has to be a battleship. Faction preferred, Marauders, if you really want to, you can, but faction battleships are number one. Which is actually interesting, because when I started to think about incursions, I always heard about, oh, faction battleship this, faction battleship that. And I always wondered, well, why does everyone want faction battleships? Like, is that an actual game mechanic? Like, are you the bad guys and you're invading the Empire? No, none of that. The main thing is just that faction battleships are the best battleship class to have. They have more hit points, they have more damage, they have more tracking in most cases. They basically, anything that a regular battleship could do, faction does it better. And they are a little more pricey, but we're basically running an ISK mill right now. So it doesn't matter because you'll pay for your ship really, really, really quickly, which is awesome. So you need decent battleship skills. You need to be able to sit in one. You need decent large turret skills. You need to at least be able to shoot metaphor guns. T2 is awesome, but we'll accept metaphor for the most part. If you're Caldari and you're wondering, well, what about missiles? Sorry to say, but missiles really, really, really suck in incursions, which is weird because if you're a solo PvE pilot, like running missions or sleepers or anything else, like missiles are pretty good. But in incursions, not so much. But don't worry, we'll take them. Ravens are kind of on the low end, but if you can fly a Barghest, that would be pretty sweet. So those things actually have some pretty decent damage. So you need to be able to fly a battleship. You need large turret skills. You also need a decent shield tank skills. Now, if you really wanted to and you only had armor, you could fly in an armor fleet. I've never done one of those, so the rest of this video is all going to be about shield tanking. But you need to be able to shield tank your battleship so that you can survive. We do shield tanking because that enables us to fill all the low slots with damage mods, which is great because you want more damage so you can complete things faster. So what do you actually need for a decent shield tank? You need to be able to fit T2 adaptive invulns. So this is a Dead Space 1, so don't worry about that. But you need to be able to fit one of these, adaptive vulnerability field 2, which means you need tactical shield manipulation level 4. If you don't have this, you need to get it, because if you don't have a T2 invuln, you're not going to have enough resistance and you're going to die, which is bad. Alright, so what else do you need? You need to be able to fit T2 damage mods. So Heatsink 2, Gyro Stabilizer 2, Ballistic Control System 2, whatever. So you need weapon upgrades level 4 in order to fit one of these, otherwise you're not going to have enough damage. You also need to be able to fit a T2 damage control. Now it might seem weird because we're shield tanked and why would you ever need this? Well, let me tell you from experience, people can and will dip into armor and structure, and you want that buffer so that Logi can lock you and you won't die. So you need hull upgrades level 4 in order to fit one of these so you have enough EHP so you don't die. Alright, alternatively, if you don't want to fly a battleship or you can't, you could also fly a logistics. And for that you just need logistics 4 and then either to fly a scimitar or a basilisk. We don't want the other two because those are armor ships. We're a shield fleet, doesn't work. Alright, so as for specific battleships that you would want to look to fly. So if you are Caldari and you can fly with projectile turrets, then you're going to want to fly the Rock because, well, it's the only projectile turret ship they have. Then you want to fit it for blasters because railguns, while they are ranged, they're not very good for range damage. So if you're Caldari, you want the Rock, you want blasters on it. If you are Galente, then oddly enough, you actually want the Hyperion. The Dominix doesn't have enough damage, and the Navy Mega, or the Megathron for its example, doesn't have enough mid slots to shield tank. So you're going to want to fly the Hyperion, and also for blasters. Then if you are a Mar, you're going to want an Apocalypse Navy issue. I don't think we allow regular Apocalypses. But honestly, if you can fly a Mar, like when I first started, I could only fly a Mar. I didn't have any Caldari skills. I trained Caldari Battleship 1 just so I can sit in this nightmare because it is so much better because it has 7 mid slots, which for a laser boat is pretty good to have 7 mid slots. So if you're a Mar, either fly Navy APOC or just get into a nightmare. Bam, there you go. And then what's the last one? Minotaur. So if you're Minotaur, you want to be flying probably a Tempest Fleet issue. I don't know. Really, you just want to be in a Macarial. But not everyone has the Galente skills. But if you can, that would be it. So I guess probably should have done this first. But ideal ships are the Vindicator for short-range DPS, just because if you don't know, Vindicators are the highest damage-dealing battleship in the game. It's obscene how much damage they can put out. So if you can use hybrid skills, get in a Vindicator. Even if it's with Battleship level 1, it's going to be better than anything else. So get in that Vindicator. If you are long range, so like a sniper, then you would be either in a Macarial or a Nightmare. So if you can use lasers, get in a Nightmare. If you can use projectiles, get in the Macarial. And if you can use missiles, a Barghest, I guess. I guess most people will just tell you don't use missiles, just train anything else. But that's unfortunate, but that's the way it works, unfortunately. Okay, so we got that out of the way. So now let's talk about the individual sites that we can run. So, as you can probably see from the journal, why do I have 31 typed? What the hell? Alright, so we have 5 sites. We have the TPPH, the True Power Provisional Headquarters. We have the TCRC, the True Creations Research Center. The NRF, the Nation Rebirth Facility. Kundalini Manifest, and the Ouroboros. I don't know how to pronounce that. So this one you will never run because this only occurs in low/nullsec. So don't worry about this. Kundalini Manifest, we talked about, this is the one that ends the incursion. These 3 are the bread and butter. These are the ones that we're going to be running all the time. So let's start with the easiest and the longest one to run, and that is this one right here, the TPPH. So this one takes the longest to run, but it's also one of the safest ones. Most of the time you can run this when you're short on Logi, just because there's almost no damage. It's a very nice one to start off with. To, like, if you know that you have newer people, you just run one of these to get them in there, just because it's really hard to die in one of these. You can, but it's pretty hard to die in one of these ones. The next one is the NRF. This one is medium on both difficulty and speed. You basically just warp in, you shoot things, you get paid, you warp out. There's the very last wave on this one is pretty dangerous, but for the most part, no one really dies on this one. The last one, the True Creations Research Center, TCRC. This one, people really, really, really like this one because it's very fast. You can finish this in probably 12 minutes if you have a really good fleet, or maybe up to like 15, 16, 17 minutes if you have a fleet with like a bunch of rocks or something that doesn't have very much damage. But this one is very dangerous because there is a lot of damage on the grid at once, and people can die. Actually, I think I myself died in one of these because I didn't know what I was doing. But for the most part, this is the most dangerous one right here, the TCRC. Alright, what else do we have? I think that's pretty much it for now. I'm going to have more videos, which should already be uploaded to YouTube if you're watching this, going over individual run-throughs of these 3. That way you know what to expect. But just brief overview, this one has 3 different areas. So you start off with the first area, you shoot everything, take a gate to the second area, shoot everything, take the gate to the third area, shoot everything, and then shoot a giant space station for about 5 to 6 minutes with no rats on the field, which is nice because you can AFK during that 5 minutes and like go to the bathroom, make a sandwich, take a shower, whatever you need to do in that 5 minutes because you're not going to die. You're just sitting there shooting a tower. The NRF, you just warp in, and there is a tower there, but you can't shoot it and you don't shoot it. There's just a bunch of Sancha and NPCs and you just kill them, and there's like, I think 4 waves of them, and that's it. And then the TCRC, this one is the most interesting one because you're actually going to fly in. There's going to be a crap load of ships all shooting you, nuding you, just awful nastiness. And you're going to kill just enough. You're going to kill the nude ships because those are awful. You're going to kill the ECM ships because people hate being jammed. And you're going to kill all the high DPS ships while you're moving to the actual tower, the battle station. And then, because I think the NPCs respawn, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they end up respawning over time. So you don't want to, and I don't think you can actually kill all of the enemies. But all you want to do is just kill the tower. Because once you kill the tower, you get paid. People want to kill the tower and then kill all the rats that scram or point you, and then everyone just warps off and leaves everyone else behind because we don't care about them. You don't get paid for killing rats. You get paid for completing the site. So that's what's the cool part is you just run in, hit and run, blow it up, bam, you're done. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it for now. I'm going to have more videos going over these 3 in more detail. Before you actually start running, you're going to want to actually read through one of the guides for whatever community you're running through, because they're going to tell you things that you have to do. Like you have to have certain fleet broadcast settings, you have to have certain ship health alert settings, so like shield to 95, that way the moment you start getting shot you know because it's warning you and running at you. Then you also want to do like your safety settings, so green safety, because if you have red, you can and will shoot someone in your fleet and then get concorded, and you don't want that because these ships can get very expensive. And also like drone settings to passive, focus fire, but all this stuff is in the actual guides, so you can go through that, no problem, good to go. Alright, so I'll see you guys next time with the individual site runs.